Welcome back to another episode of The Drop, the weekly show that lets you know the hottest games coming out across PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, and PC hardware. And this week is a very big week, especially for those that are playing on Xbox and that subscribe to Xbox Game Pass or Game Pass Ultimate. Some pretty big games heading your way. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into the biggest games of the week. Starting off, we have Xbox Series X and S console exclusive The Medium, also releasing on PC. Become a medium living in two different worlds, the real one and the spirit one. Haunted by the vision of a child's murder, you travel to an abandoned hotel resort, which many years ago became the stage of an unthinkable tragedy. There, you begin your search for difficult answers. As a medium with access to both worlds, you have a wider perspective and can see more clearly that there is no one simple truth to what others perceive. Nothing is what it seems. Everything has another side. Discover a dark mystery only a medium can solve. Explore the real world and the spirit world at the same time. Use your psychic abilities to solve puzzles spanning both worlds, uncover deeply disturbing secrets, and survive encounters with the Maw, an entity born from an unspeakable tragedy. This is a very major release for Xbox because it's effectively its first big next-generation exclusive. The game is not coming out on the Xbox One because it does leverage the power of that super-fast SSD that Microsoft has baked into the Xbox Series X and the S. Effectively, the game switches back and forth between two realities, and that instantaneous load time makes that possible. It is worth noting here, this is effectively a horror game. It kind of blends Control and Alan Wake with something of a Silent Hill, and you see that inspiration from Silent Hill coming through in the soundtrack, of which they tapped the actual composer for Silent Hill to help create. So there you have it. Very excited to dive into this one, and on top of that, it is going to be launching on Game Pass, a very major win for those that subscribe to Ultimate. So if you do want to jump in, The Medium is coming out this week on the Xbox Series X, S, and PC. Next up, the Yakuza Remastered Collection makes a leap from a PlayStation exclusive to the Xbox and PC. Celebrate Kazuma Kiryu's saga with the beautifully remastered Yakuza 3, 4, and 5, all with restored content and updated localization. First off, Yakuza 3. In a quest to abandon their bloody past, Kazuma Kiryu and adoptive daughter Haruka Samomura leave the unforgiving streets of Kamurocho for the island of Okinawa to run the Morning Glory Orphanage. Despite his efforts, trouble shadows Kiryu, and the Morning Glory Orphanage is soon entangled in a deadly power struggle. Can Kiryu rescue the orphanage and escape his past for good? Next up, in Yakuza 4, a murder in Tojo clan territory soon sets off an investigation by a small Tojo branch consisting of Kazuma Kiryu, Masayoshi Tanamura, Shun Akiyama, and Tega Sejima. I can't believe I said those correctly. Follow the four playable protagonists as they unravel a hidden battle over money, power, status, and honor, and a mysterious woman at the center of it all. With underground forces readily willing to kill to protect their secrets, the search seems to lead to more questions than answers. Finally, in Yakuza 5, Kazuma Kiryu's newfound calm as an unassuming cab driver comes to a sudden end as the standing peace between the Tojo clan and the Omi alliance disintegrates. Forced to reckon with his past once more, the Dragon of Dojima returns to the criminal underworld to protect those he holds dear. Their lives interwoven follow Kiryu and his allies in their quest to navigate the corrupt underbelly and prevent an all-out turf war. 5 playable protagonists across 5 major cities. But ultimately, no matter where you play, now is the perfect time to do some homework on the world of Yakuza if you do want to dive in before this year's big release. But of course, the Yakuza Remastered Collection is coming out on the Xbox platforms and PC later this week. Next up, Olija comes to PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Olija is a game about Faraday's quest, a man shipwrecked, then trapped in the mysterious country of Terraphage. Armed with a legendary harpoon, he and other castaways try to leave this hostile country to return to their homelands. Through adventurous exploration, narration, and razor-sharp combat, the player will discover a strange world and its inhabitants, including Olija, an enigmatic lady that Faraday finds himself bound to over time. Inspired by swashbuckling tales and cinematic adventure games, Olija is a story about facing the unknown in adversity. And now some bullet points. Explore a mysterious and handcrafted world inspired by sailors' legends and Asian fantasy. Wield the harpoon of legend and rethink movement through platforming, puzzle, and combat. Rescue fellow castaways and meet curious characters to learn more about Terraphage and the enigmatic Olija. Beautiful melancholic soundtrack is also included, inspired by flamenco, lo-fi, and traditional Japanese music, and you can even craft magic hats. This game was originally announced during last year's Devolver Direct that is a Devolver-published game, and it looks like a very fun little indie. Now, it did get pushed back a couple of months. Of course, COVID is impacting how developers around the world are working, so instead of coming out in fall of 2020, the game is now coming out this week across the PlayStation PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, the Switch, and the PC, and needless to say, it is playable on new consoles as well. And finally, to round out today's show, Sword of the Necromancer is coming out on PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. What would you do to bring back someone you love? Sword of the Necromancer is a dungeon crawler action RPG with roguelike elements where you can revive your defeated enemies to make them fight alongside you. Turn your foes into allies using the forbidden powers of the Sword of the Necromancer, and help Tama reach the dungeon's depths in order to gain enough power to bring Coco back from the dead. Gather a little army of monsters, equip yourself with weapons and relics, and level up to take on guardians that stand between you and your objective. Very cool looking little RPG here. Of course, this game is not to be confused with Crypt of the Necrodancer, the beat-based dungeon crawling game that came out a couple of years back. This is its own thing, and I love the art style in this one. Very big fan. This is actually one of my favorite looking games of the week. I'm going to be doing more research on this one, and I might even dive in and give it a shot myself. But if you do want to pick up a new little RPG indie that could tickle your fancy, then by all means you can check out Sword of the Necromancer when it launches across every platform later this week. But before we go, we do have a couple of honorable mentions. First off, Bonkies is coming to PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. It is kind of a co-op party game, if you will, and Touhou is coming to PS4, Xbox One, and Switch as well. But that rounds out this week's episode of The Drop. If you enjoyed today's show, drop me a like down below, and of course let me know what games caught your eye. Are you picking anything up this week? Are you diving into some Game Pass games, or are you holding out for some of the year's biggest releases that are yet to come? Would love to hear what you guys are planning on. It's also worth mentioning there was a channel update that I released on Friday in lieu of an episode of the Jam Pack Report that outlines some changes coming to the channel over the course of the next few days. You can look at that for more information about what's to come and what to expect in 2021 and forward. But until next time, you guys have a fantastic rest of your week. I'll talk to you soon, and peace.